Buenos días, muchas gracias María, muchas gracias por la invitación. Para mí es un honor de estar aquí. That's about it for my Spanish, so thank you very much for inviting me, and thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here today to speak to you about experiences. What I would like to talk to you today about is the experience economy in the 21st century, and really look at the question of how can we tackle the experience economy and how we can create more dynamic and more personalized and also, of course, competitive customer experiences. Competitiveness, seasonality has been the big question for this seminar already, and my previous presenters, everyone has been let's say, presenting different approaches on how we can tackle seasonality and how we can create better experiences. I think when we put the tourism destination here in the center, I think every one of us is faced with a couple of challenges, whether those are relating to seasonality, sustainability, how we can innovate, but also how we can involve a couple of different stakeholders, and importantly, how we can use technology, and in particular smart technology, in order to enhance experiences. My research focus for the last something like 7 years has been about tourism experience. It has been about how we can combine tourism experiences, the idea of co-creation with our customers and digital technologies, and how can we create the best concept from that. Let me start with the experience economy of the 21st century. We all know that experiences are changing very fast. Our consumers are changing fast. We are currently in an age of innovation where we have never been innovating at such an accelerated, fast pace as in the 21st century, as in 2016. Companies are emerging on a daily basis. They're taking over the world. The same is true for technologies. There are platforms emerging that suddenly are there. We have never even, thought about it. Take, for example, Pokemon Go. It took the world by storm overnight, and suddenly it was there, and everyone was looking into that. So what this means for us is that experiences are very much changing, and experiences are very dynamic. And we need to be reacting in the same dynamic, but not just in a reactive way, but more of a proactive way. So experiences. Experiences we talk about a lot. We have put it into the center of what it is and what they are. If we go back to kind of why, the very important question, the why we talk about experiences, it's really that we need to understand that products and services are no longer enough. And I think we can all agree on that, okay? We do need to have very high quality product as a basis and very good services, but beyond that, it's really about creating those memorable and those extraordinary experiences. And consumers want exactly that. And when we tackle kind of the idea of why we want experiences, it comes all down to the idea of progression of economic value. We want to have a product or a service or experience, something that allows us to differentiate our offer. So I'm really going back to the basics here of Pine and Gilmore in the 1990s, where they introduced the idea that we need to differentiate our offer, we need to make it more distinct, we need to compete with our competitors on this level where we say, okay, let's go from, let's say, simple coffee beans to something, creating a whole experience around the concept of coffee. The same is true for any other commodity, any agricultural, industrial product. We really need to take it to the next level. And of course, when we do that, it's no longer only about price. Price becomes somehow secondary. Price is still there, and we still charge for kind of the experience we're providing, but we can charge much more because we can offer, as has also been said previously, we can offer distinct value. And at the end of the day, it's all about the value that we can offer to our customers. And if we think about that, look at the previous picture when we talk about the idea of coffee, when we talk about the idea of how we can create an experience, think something along those lines. Obviously, this is a picture probably somewhere in the Austrian Alps, where we're all sitting in something, let's say, maybe nice, enjoying a hot cup of tea or hot cup of coffee somewhere on a mountaintop, and you have a nice seat and blanket to enjoy a beautiful view. It's those extraordinary moments, those experiences that you experience in your life that you remember, that this is what we try to achieve. And if we think about travel, we all want those extraordinary moments. Think about it. Do you still remember where you did your, let's say, your shopping last week? What did you buy a few weeks ago? Probably don't remember so much because it was more of an ordinary consumption experience. But if I asked you all, where did you go on holiday when you were a kid or a child? Probably 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago if I look at the audience here. So think about that, and we still very vividly remember those moments. So it's exactly about that, creating those memorable experiences, creating experiences that stay with us for a lifetime. So the question is really, how can we move away from, just staging those experiences? How can we create not just experiences, but those experiences that are individual, that are personal, and especially competitive and dynamic to our customers? And one concept that has become very dominant now in recent literature and also in industry, as has been mentioned, is the idea of co-creation. Co-creation, what is it? It's still very much a buzzword, but it's finding increasing application in research, but also in practice, and we're very glad about that. So co-creation has really started with the whole idea that we know that we are super empowered consumers. Think about the internet 10, 20 years ago, how much it has changed now. We are now connected. We are, as consumers, we're writing, we're contributing, we're sharing. We are telling the world what we think about businesses. We tell the world about everything. We rank things, we write, and we evaluate things. This has become possible mainly due to technology, due to the internet, due to the Web 2.0. So in a sense, the consumer has changed very much. We have access to a lot of different technologies, and technology is not necessarily the thing that has changed, but it's again the consumer who has changed. But what technology has done is that it has provided us kind of the tool, the catalyst of change really for us to become a different kind of consumer. And where we are now is something like that. We are no longer just a consumer, a passive consumer, but when we take the idea of co-creation, we really are a prosumer. So somehow an active producer, somebody who contributes actively and is no longer just a consumer, but is really taking a twofold role in this. So where does this lead us in terms of the experience economy? What we can experience really is a mindset shift. Our mindset is changing. Not necessarily that all the experience is changing, but we, as businesses, we need to make a mindset shift. Whereas in experience economy, what we said like 1990s, a couple of years ago, is that predominantly all the experiences were created by the company for the customers. The idea of staging. So we think as a business, we think about what experience can we create and how can we then stage it and provide it to the customer. Think about Disneyland. Think about thematic experiences. This is what we have done in the past, and it has worked out perfectly fine, and we're still doing that, of course. But in addition to that, we can see that those experiences sometimes are quite one-dimensional, sometimes quite company-centric. But co-creation has also brought us really a new mechanism for experience creation. And the key word here is with. We're now creating experiences and value with our customers. Not necessarily only for them, but in conjunction with them. And this has led us to a really fundamental change, a paradigm shift in the relationship between companies and consumers. It's about a two-directional way in which now we try to engage, in which we now try to create experiences together. And it can look something like that. It's no longer that we have distinct bubbles up here, where consumers are on the one side and businesses on the other side. But if you think of all the innovation process and also the great examples that we have heard earlier in the presentations, it's about getting customers and business together, getting them together in the middle where we have this big bubble where we say this is the market, this is the environment, this is where they meet and create experiences and value together. And the whole driving principle, if I'm going a bit academic for 1 second, is service-dominant logic. Maybe you have heard about it, but service-dominant logic is really the underpinning theory that says to us, well, essentially, what has changed is experiences can't only be packaged, but what we need to do is really co-create always experiences and value with our customers. I'll give you an example. If you think about the car here, what we have got, whether it's a BMW or something else, the car itself doesn't really have an experience. It doesn't create an experience. It only creates an experience once you as a user, myself, or you drive it. But for that to happen, the idea is that we need to have you present there as a consumer, and you need to integrate your own skills and resources. If you don't, that means essentially, if you don't know how to drive the car itself doesn't possess any value for you. It doesn't possess necessarily an experience for you. But what we can only offer is the car as a tool, and then you are the one, as an individual, who creates the value, and the better you probably know how to drive, the better your experience will be. So at the end of the day, it really depends. It's about individual experiences. What the businesses can do is simply provide the resources and the value propositions, we call it, for an experience to happen. And ultimately, it's the consumer who is the judge of the value. And the same is true for, let's say, mobile applications, tourism applications. If you think about Mallorca tourism app, if, let's say, I give it to my grandparents, they maybe not even know how to use it. So again, the app itself doesn't possess any value. But when it generates value is when you, as a tourist, use it, you integrate your own knowledge about, well, how to use an iPhone, for example, and then your value emerges while you're finding your own information, while you're looking and going around the destination. So this is just a little bit of an excursus into kind of the theory bits behind it, what we're working on. But if I can give one, let's say, point really to take away what has changed in this paradigm shift, like in a nutshell, I would say the consumers are the starting point. The consumers are the central element of co-creation. When we talk about experiences, we really shouldn't start with the idea that how can we make money and how can the company do something, but we should start always with the consumer. The consumer, and design the whole experiences around them, but mostly with them, okay? So this is the essential change if we say this is co-creation and this is what it's about in a nutshell. So the next point is technology. Obviously, I've been asked to provide a bit of an outlook on how now does technology come into this. Technology has been mentioned as a key tool of change in previous discussions. And how does technology really change things? Well, very simply, if we think about our own life, about all the devices that you've got in front of you, whether it's a laptop, whether it's a smartphone, whether it's a tablet, everyone is constantly surrounded by technology. We are surrounded by technology all the time, whether it's in our private life, whether it's in our home, whether it's when we go on a leisure trip, or whether when we travel, okay? That means that essentially our life has become connected, our life has somehow been tied to technology. And we can see it in every different part of our lives, whether it's about e-learning, about our e-health system, e-government, the parking systems, to your smart homes, and of course, smart destinations. So this is really where we're going, to a more connected world and where we can try to take advantage of technology in order to enhance experiences. So this has led us somehow to a stage of 24/7 connectivity. We're still developing those technologies, and technologies are still emerging, and not every single destination has managed to fully implement, let's say, a smart tourism destinations. But there are a lot of advances happening. And what this has changed and where we are is essentially something like this. We are the connected tourist. We are a very mobile tourist, and we are in the middle of this. And with that, we, as a tourist, we've got let's say, a choice of different technologies that we use, ranging from our tablets, devices, maybe our Google Glasses or other glasses in the very near future. With that, as a tourist, obviously, if you go to a, let's say, new destination, you've got a lot of different tasks to fulfill. And with technology, we can enhance every single stage of our tourism experiences. So what technology has fundamentally done is somehow extended the tourist experience from being a concept or being something that we have just on site to any travel stage. So that means we can no longer say that when we travel and our experience starts only once we get at a destination. Let's say my experience of Mallorca didn't just start when I got here yesterday afternoon. My experience has started way back. My experience probably started when I was invited to come here, kind of the dreaming anticipation stage. Maybe the stage where I started looking into flights, where I started to look at the destination online. So my experience was already happening online before I physically got here. And the same is true once we're here. Everyone uses devices to enhance the experiences on site, share, let's say on social media, that I'm having a great time here in Mallorca, and then when I'm going back home, I do the same again. I'm sharing on social media my experience, and through that extend my memories even longer. So any travel stage really has technology enabled. The other thing is anyone. What does anyone mean? Even if you travel alone nowadays, it's not about you alone. You take your whole network with you, simply through this one device. You take your network with you because you are connected. You may be sharing your experiences through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever platform you choose, and you take the whole people that maybe look at that online, you take them with you as an almost virtual travel companion. About anywhere. What does that mean? Anywhere essentially means that information comes to you and comes with you. You no longer necessarily have to go to a tourist office to get information statically there. What you can do is simply take the information to where you are and where you need it, and also at the time you need it. And that is also why it's very important that technology has enabled real-time experiences, anytime experiences, because you're simply connected 24/7. So in a sense, what technology does, if we can summarize that, it's really about making experiences much more dynamic, making them much more consumer-focused based on the needs that you have at any given context, location, and any given point in time. So what does this mean? Technology itself is still technology. It's not, a whole game changer, but what it has done is it has provided us a catalyst for change. It has provided us the opportunity to rethink the whole travel process, pre, during, and post, and try to enhance small and very significant touch points along the customer journey and enhance experiences through that. So when we summarize kind of those things in the middle, we can say digital technology, the job of digital technology is kind of the glue. It ties everything together, and it enables new ways of engagement. It enables new ways of co-creation and also new business models. So what we have seen is that we still do B2C, business to customer. So that business model is still happening. But what we can also see is that increasingly we see C2C. All the talk about sharing economy and all that is essentially due to technology in a way because it provided the platform for people to simply connect. And now we can see the tourist consumer and other consumers simply connecting through that. But beyond that, I think it's very important that we take a wider A to A view. So essentially actor to actor or anyone to anyone. It's not just about B2C, and it's not just about customers and customers co-creating experiences, but it's also about different actors working together, whether it's locals, it's residents, it's the governments or other consumers. It's essentially an extended service ecosystem in which we now operate and try to create experiences together. So how does this now look in practice? Well, some examples. Essentially what we can do, and if we apply this model, we can see this here. Smart tourism destinations is one of the main areas now for development where we're all working on. How can we enhance experiences? How can we personalize experiences through interconnectivity in a whole set of destinations? The other example is mobile applications, still very relevant, and especially if we think about the idea of SOCOMO or SOLOMO, so social context in mobile or social local in mobile, we can see that there's a lot of opportunity to really create context-based services and experiences that are relevant to the customers. We are creating those technologies simply for the use of the customer, and they then can create their own experiences and their own value by using those. So what we can see is that company doesn't always have to be involved in taking your hand and being there with you to create an experience. What the company sometimes can do is simply create these resources and tools for you to do so. The other example maybe I want to show is high tech and high touch. An idea is that technology doesn't have to be always in the foreground of our experiences, but sometimes it can simply be in the background. This is an example from a hotel in Switzerland where every single employee has an iPhone or an iPad, and they enhance every single touch point of a guest's hotel experience by personalizing the stay. They have a lot of information in the background, but wherever you go throughout the hotel, an employee kind of has access to information, they know things, and they can in the background create very, very good experiences while you're staying there. So again, the idea of employee to customer co-creation, not just having the company on the top, but breaking it down, empowering every single employee with the idea that we need to create experiences, with the idea that we need to use technologies in order to create better experiences. Sharing economy, another example. Let me just ask the question whether C2C is the new B2C. Well, it's debatable really, but what we can see is there is a lot of changes happening to traditional business models. We are now very much also moving into simply peer-to-peer, and a lot of new services are evolving, whether it's the accommodation, the hotel sector, tourism sector, or aviation sector. So this is a very important topic that we need to keep exploring and really see how sometimes consumers among themselves are creating value, and how we as tourism businesses and companies can tap into that potential and also be part of that. Another example is this campaign previously, maybe some of you know it, is OMGB. It's essentially the Great Britain campaign of Oh My Great Britain, where they used a hashtag campaign to simply user-generate a lot of those extraordinary moments that people and tourists shared. And what the UK or Great Britain in that sense as a DMO does, they don't generate pictures themselves. They simply give the customers the tool and say, we use this hashtag, OMGB, and you contribute. And everyone feels part of that. Everyone feels to be wanting to contribute to that and be part of that great movement where we say, let's share our amazing moments. Let's share our best extraordinary experiences. So where does this lead us to? The last couple of years have really shown from research we are facing digital technologies, we're facing an age of technology-enhanced experiences. And I want to share now the 12 factors that came throughout in our research of what that means. Connectedness and closeness essentially means that technology doesn't just create a barrier between people, but actually brings us closer. It brings us closer more socially if we are connecting to other people. Maybe not always the people in front of us, but definitely has an advantage, and people want to travel nowadays like that. It provides obviously efficiency and convenience. There's no doubt about that technology-enhanced experiences are a lot about convenience. They are also about giving the consumer independence, control, and safety. Especially traveling alone, technology simply allows you to connect and create more of an idea of the safety net that you're taking with you. We have serendipity. A very important factor is that technology not just allows you to pre-plan, but technology actually enables you to not plan at all and simply explore the destination, get the information on the spot when you need it, and have almost a serendipitous discovery of the destination. We've got sociality and social engagement. We are connecting with other consumers online, and we are doing so all the time through social media sharing. We have the idea of individualization and personalization, which we did in the past couple of years, but we've never personalized at this level. We have the information, we've got big data, and all the things that are evolving are now allowing us to have a new level of experiences that didn't exist before. Education and information, another very important factor, is essentially saying we now have access to much more information that wasn't there before. Augmented reality, suddenly we know, for example, what is the billing in front of you just by looking it through the application. We have locality and authenticity, again, going off the beaten track, experiencing authentic experiences. This might be through C2C sharing, but also through things like simply using mobile applications where you say, hey, this is something I wouldn't have even discovered or thought about because I didn't read it in an official guide. So again, the importance of customers involving. Novelty and playfulness and the idea of gamification is a very big topic where we now use elements of game design, of play, in better enhancing our customer experiences on site and gamifying different touch points of our experience. Ubiquity and unlimitedness simply means we can do everything at any time whenever we want it. Timelessness in real time means we now have no longer limitations to time. And the final factor, memorialization, means that technology allows us to store our experiences and make them more memorable for the future. Their experiences and the moments are not only lived while we are there, but by capturing those through pictures, sharing them through Facebook, people now simply preserve those moments and make them extended for the future. this is the technology-enhanced experience. The final thought I want to leave you with is a very critical question. And I must say, I'm a very much person pro-technology, and obviously I've spent the last couple of years just looking at technology. But still, I want to leave you with the question of whether we should always connect, or maybe we want to disconnect, okay? Originally, travel has always been about the idea of us going somewhere, turning around our everyday life, and going somewhere for relaxation and kind of resting and escaping from the mundane and escaping from home. But now that's not too easy anymore. So the other idea that is very strongly emerging, and also we need to consider for different tourism destinations, could really be a potential also perhaps for Mallorca. What about disconnected experiences? What about if we are maybe achieving a stage where we say we're connected all the time so much, why not disconnect for a change? And why not use the example of a destination that maybe is very remote, or some areas like Valdemossa, somewhere we say you don't go there for having a super technology connected experiences. Maybe you're going there for just disconnecting and just experiencing a great experience. Okay? So this connection, digital detox for hospitality, tourism, and destinations might be one of the possibilities also to tap into future. And those are just a few critical things why maybe it becomes important. If you're all familiar with those things, are we taking pictures for ourselves or the online audience? Are we still experiencing always our surroundings, or are we sometimes living maybe too much online? Are we sometimes physically present but maybe completely mentally absent? And we all know that picture. Or, are we traveling still as a means to refresh and recharge our batteries, or are we simply always connected 24/7 and there is no distinction between work and life and holiday? So, this is the reality. This is where we are. Technology is great, but maybe we need to change. And the last bit I want to share is, last week I have been into an extraordinary experience. I was at the College of Extraordinary Experiences in a castle in Poland. It really looked like that. It was a fairy tale castle. It was for the first time in my life that for 4 days, I didn't even look at my phone. I didn't need to look at the phone. I wasn't connected, but I was simply there. It was a completely immersive environment, something completely out of the ordinary. It was a castle, and we were all walking around with costumes and medieval things. But what this has shown me is, sometimes it's also about disconnecting. Sometimes it's about really those experiences that are so extraordinary. Sometimes we simply need to take advantage of that and experience things. This is a picture of how everyone looked. It was an academic conference of a bit of a different kind, so everyone was really medieval. So, but I think those are the opportunities I wanted to share with you. At the end of the day, if I can summarize, it's about creating extraordinary experiences, memorable experiences, and we do those offline and also online. We are operating an interconnected service ecosystem where we are trying to connect actors, make best out of it, whatever tools we've got available. And at the core of this is the idea of co-creation. It's not about simply providing experiences, but about creating customer experiences with our customers. And this can lead us to better competitiveness, maybe having experiences out of the season, and simply having a great time for our customers, and be maybe a bit better than our competitors. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Barbara.